And if you're looking to sign up for another one of these success meetups, catch the recordings, watch some of the past ones, let me cover all your bases here. So first of all, you're always welcome to scan that QR code that I have up on my screen right now if you want to sign up for our upcoming success meetups. We do hold these 3 times weekly, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Unless there's a holiday going on, you can usually always find them through our live training calendar. So in KV Core, if you head on over to the right-hand side, our KV Core training module, you'll find under the training calendar in the center, you can choose your time zone. And these webinars are always available to sign up for every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We typically have Tuesday, Thursday sessions, usually cover kind of more so the basics of KV Core, kind of keep the tools within the platform. Wednesday sessions sometimes can be a little bit more advanced as we might take outside tools, outside concepts, and kind of integrate it into your platform. So we usually try to have one more slightly more advanced topic per week to more, beginner suited information webinars. Now, you can always go and register for these here. They are all recorded and added to our Inside Real Estate YouTube channel, which you can also find the link up here. And we do sometimes post them in our Facebook group as well. And we try to make a habit in the Facebook group to post the upcoming topics for each week. So I do believe it is posted there today. If you click on the Inside Real Estate Facebook discussion group and scroll on down, let's see if I can find it for you guys real quick to put that up on your screen. There it is for this week. We're going to be talking about squeeze page strategies today. Tomorrow is about how to create a landing page to deliver downloadable content. I believe that is with my fellow our Done For You services specialist, Heather. And then Thursday session, I believe is going to be my fellow trainer, Christina Hampton. She's going to talk about creative ways to use your area pages on your websites. If you're not already a member of our Facebook discussion group, feel free to join us there. I'll pop the link in the chat. And then, of course, the webinars, the recordings are added to the YouTube channel. I apologize. I think we're just a tiny bit behind there, but those should be updated shortly. If you go to the Inside Real Estate YouTube channel specifically and head on over to our playlist page, there you'll find an entire playlist just dedicated to these KV Core Success meetups. There's over 117 videos in there right now, so you can always check out some of the past information there. If you like learning your webinar or learning your platform through video content, this is a great resource for you. All right, one more link I'm going to share out in the chat, and then we'll get started with our squeeze page strategies. And the one additional thing I want to share out is my handy support article guide. Let me pause and introduce myself first. So my name is Mariel Ortiz. I'm a product trainer here with Inside Real Estate. I teach a lot of our Tuesday success meetups, our orientations. If you've ever attended a How It Works or Build Your Pipeline webinar, you're probably hanging out with me. And whenever I teach one of these KV Core success meetups, I always find it's valuable to create a little guide, a little take-home sheet, if you will, so you can always find these resources easily on your own, even after the session is complete. If you're, say, trying to use some of the strategies that you learn later on in your own platform. So let me pop in today's guide in the chat and talk about what's on this guide. You should be able to just click that link in the Zoom chat to open this up on your end, and you can bookmark this one for later. Now, today's squeeze page strategies guide, if you were with us last week, we went over landing page strategies. That recording should be uploaded to YouTube sometime soon. Or if you were with us last week, I always pop them at the bottom of my guides. But last week, we talked about landing page strategies, and we started out by talking about how to plan your pages. So I'm going to just remind you guys of that again today, or for those that weren't with us last week, we'll talk about planning in terms of planning your squeeze pages. We're going to talk about how to edit your squeeze pages, how to create them. I've got a couple pro tips for some of you out there. I got some questions asking about, why are there landing pages and squeeze pages? Why should I use one over the other? What's the difference? How does it, change the information? So we'll talk about strategies on when it might be advisable to use a landing page versus a squeeze page. And then additionally, we'll talk about where to post those squeeze pages and maybe a little bit about combining squeeze pages with other KV Core tools, because as you are probably well aware, there's lots of different bells and whistles in your KV Core platform. And a lot of times you can kind of use these tools in combination with one another to not only capture leads, but also have a, automated follow-up process for those leads you capture. You can use them not only to, maybe post to your social media pages, but also to add value to your websites. Or maybe you have, that landing page or squeeze page that you create in a scheduled mass email that you share out to your contacts and leads. So we'll talk about ways that you can kind of use these tools together with the other features you have in your platform. And so, of course, I always put a little challenge in there. I encourage you guys to take what you learned today and try it out in your own accounts, especially for my kinesthetic learners out there that aren't going to learn best just by watching someone else do it. Trying it out for yourself should help that information sink in. I always try to include a couple other helpful articles related to today's topic. We do have a past YouTube video on multi-property squeeze page deep dive. That is a webinar that my fellow trainer Christina Hampton taught several months back. So she does a great deep dive of just simply the multi-property squeeze pages, but lots of great information in there. If you feel like, maybe you want a different trainer's perspective, that's a great video to check out. I have included links to the YouTube channel and Facebook discussion page. And if you scroll all the way down, this is where I'll put today's recording link as well. All right, but starting at the top here, we're going to dive into today's content. I just want to remind you that today's session is not only, or every Success Meetup, I should say, is not only tips and tricks, but it's also open Q&A. So if you have any questions about your KV Core platform, feel free to pop those in the chat and Q&A. If they aren't directly related to today's topic, I might save them towards the end. If there is a way to kind of add your question in or answer it and kind of integrate it into our subject today, I'll try to do so. But we always try to make sure that we're answering your questions as well, so you're getting the most that you can out of your Success Meetup webinars. And additionally, I'll just make one more comment before we get started. If there are any tools in KV Core that you want to know more about, if there's a specific tool in KV Core that you would love to see a Success Meetup webinar held on, whether we've done it in the past or this is something you're not really seeing on the YouTube channel, please, make those votes in your chat or Q&A. We love to hear it. We definitely want to make sure we create these webinars based on the information that you guys want to know and understand. So feel free to, if you have any suggestions, share them out. All right. So with squeeze pages, we're going to be starting in the lead engine. That's where you can go to create your own landing pages, squeeze pages, and text codes. I'll also point out as well, we're not going to really dive into it today, but if you're looking for a squeeze page or a landing page that's pre-created for a specific listing that you want to post out in KV Core, you can also check our Promote a Listing playbook on the main dashboard. That will actually create squeeze pages and landing pages for you. So just a little side note there. But we'll head into the lead engine because that's where you can build your own variations of these. So that's where we'll focus today. Now, a couple things to consider when you're using lead generation tools in KV Core is ask yourself a couple of preliminary questions. I get a lot of agents that know that these tools exist, knows that they can be used for lead capture, but they're not exactly sure what their subject matter should be or why they should be posting or who they should be targeting. So I encourage you to sit down and consider a couple of questions first. who is your target audience? So who do you want to work with? Which kind of leads are you hoping to capture more of? Is it people in, low income families? It's strictly single family home buyers. Are you looking to target more sellers? Are you looking to, because you're a listing agent, are you looking to target people who are interested in flipping homes, investors, just specific to your area? Or do you want to get even more niche with it? Are you someone who's a big, say, sports fan, or you're into horseback riding or golfing? These could all be niche audiences that you target to try to generate more leads with similar interests. And that can always help, definitely when it comes to converting that lead. The more you have in common with them to talk about, you can kind of use that, leverage that in the process as well. So think about who your target audience is, and maybe think of a couple different target audiences that you want to focus on when you're creating your landing or squeeze pages. Secondly, where are you posting this? So while, creating the landing pages and squeeze pages are free, simple to do, can generate leads for you, they're only going to work if you're posting them out regularly. And ideally, these are meant for your social media links, or social media pages. We'll actually have a webinar next week, I believe next Tuesday. I'm going to do text codes, and text codes you could also put on your print advertising. Technically, you could put a squeeze or a landing page on print advertising as well. But keep in mind, that link is not nearly as attractive as just a code that someone could, say, text into their phone. Typically, if they're reading a long, website link on your business card, what is the chances they're going to, type that into their phone or into their computer to go look for that site? So while you could put it on print advertising, things like a text code is going to be easier for someone to kind of grab that information and run with it. So these squeeze and landing pages, as they're creating a link, those are best posted online. So think about where you're posting this. Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter. Think about all those different tools that you want to use for posting. Think about broadening your social media exposure. So if you're posting to Facebook, also maybe consider, rather than just posting to your Facebook page where you've just got a limited audience of those that are actually viewing your page, maybe consider joining some Facebook groups and posting out there as well. Think about if you're posting to, say, something like Twitter or Instagram, how you're also going to probably want to incorporate maybe a couple hashtags in your post, not the KV core hashtags that you use to label your leads, but the Instagram or Twitter hashtags on those unique social media platforms. Again, that's going to help your post be more easily found if someone's searching by hashtag. And then additionally, think about what your marketing goal is. If you're looking to capture, okay, let's break it down here. If you're looking to, sell a certain number of homes per year, or hopefully close a certain number of deals, think about, if you're just trying to close, 5, 10, however many, think about how many more leads you need before you get that one lead that becomes that closed deal. And then think about how many people you need to expose that information to before you get a lead that signs up. So you want to broaden your audience whenever possible. So think about your marketing goal. Think about how many people you ideally need to show something like a landing or squeeze page to in order to generate enough leads to create enough deals for you. Let's see, can we use Remax URL shortens on these page addresses, or does that inhibit tracking through KV Core? We'll talk when we create squeeze pages. It does create 2 different links. There is a short link and a long link. In most instances, you want to use the long URL as opposed to the short URL. Just works better with certain social media pages, but we'll talk about that. I don't know if that's directly related to what you're asking in the chat. I don't know if Remax has specific additional URL options. But in most cases, when you're posting, you want to use those long full links. And I know that's not always the most visually appealing thing to do, but I'll give you some pro tips as we talk about posting these out. Okay. All right. So marketing goal. Where are you posting? Who are you targeting? And then how will you follow up with those leads as well? Thankfully, you've got KV Course. You've got a lot of automation tools that can help follow up with those leads. You just want to make sure you have things like your smart campaigns turned on, or if you're offering your consumer something like a search alert or market report in exchange for signing up, have a plan in place to make sure you're sending those pieces of value to those leads so they're not just generated in your CRM and then end up going cold. Okay. All right, so let's jump in and talk about creating some squeeze pages. So I'm going to head on over to the lead engine in the left-hand column of your KV Core platform. And this is where you could go to, again, create those landing pages, squeeze pages, and text codes. Today, since we're working on squeeze pages, I'm going to choose my website domain here and click Start Building. I do want to mention you do need to have an integrated KV Core website in order to use tools like landing pages and squeeze pages. Otherwise, you won't see these options here. I know there are a few users out there that don't have integrated KV Core websites. If that is the case for you and you're not seeing these options and you're not seeing a Web and IDX tab and you're not seeing a website integrated into your platform. If that's the case for you, there should be a tile in the marketplace where you can purchase an integrated website. But most of my users out there, you'll have one already connected to your KV Core accounts. Okay. All right, we'll click Start Building. Oh, I just saw another question in the chat. Let's see. Do you recommend getting a KV Core smart number? I was told when creating squeeze pages, if you don't have a smart number, the leads will go round robin. I think someone may have either, I'm not sure exactly where you heard this from, but I think what you're thinking of is actually text codes. So before we get into squeeze pages, which is a totally different thing, let's address this question real quick. So if I've got any new users out there, here's a very important tool to be acquainted with in KV Core. In your little hidden menu in the upper right-hand corner, same place where I said you'll go to find your KV Core website, you'll usually have a number listed here first. And that number is usually your office smart number. Some of you out there, if you're part of a team, this might be your team smart number. For my regular KV Core users that went, above and beyond, decide to buy their own smart number, you might see your own smart number here. But most of us will have what's called an office smart number. This smart number is a number that's shared, as you can imagine, amongst the members of your office. And there's a couple important things to know about your smart number. So the most important things to know about your smart number is that you should probably not call your smart number. It's not meant for agents to call. It is meant for routing leads. It's meant to allow you to call or text through, say, the desktop version of your platform. It is also meant to call your phone and notify you when there's new lead activity. So we don't want to call that number as agents, just to be clear. Number two about the smart number is we want to probably add that as a contact in our phone. I mentioned that KV Core may sometimes call your phone, and if it's calling you, it's going to call from the smart number to notify you of things like new lead activity, if there was, just a new lead that's being offered to you, or occasionally, your broker or admin might send you a message through KV Core, maybe a mass text that'll usually come from the smart number as well. Now, last but not least, we do want to introduce that smart number to our current contacts, but we don't want to hand the smart number out to, say, new leads without the use of probably a text code, because the new leads, And don't worry, we're gonna learn about squeeze pages. I hear you in the chat. I just want to make sure I'm answering this question first. But we don't want to offer that smart number necessarily to our brand new leads in KV Core, because if that's an office smart number, it's going to follow whatever rules your office set up. So for new leads, offices typically will have those round robin amongst their agents. So if a new lead calls that number and it's not existing in anyone's KV Core account, it could go to anyone, could go to any agent. So that's only a number that we want to introduce to our current contacts. Just let them know, hey, I've got a new work number. Do you mind adding this as a contact in your phone? So that way, if I send you a text or a call from this number, you just know it's me on the other line. And if you're informing contacts you already have in your CRM of this number, the system knows that's your contact. It can see it in your CRM and will always route, if they send you a text message or a call in response, it knows to route that to you. So this is not something you want to put on your website. This is not something you want to put on your print advertising without a text code. And we'll talk about text codes next week. It's a code that you create. Someone can text that code to the smart number to route it directly to you. So doesn't have to do with search alerts. Search alerts shouldn't use the smart number in any way. Typically, if someone signs up through, squeeze page, if someone signs up from your squeeze page, it's going to just go directly to your CRM. Doesn't require a smart number. So I apologize if that was, hopefully that helped to answer your question in the chat. A smart number, you shouldn't need that, your own smart number for squeeze pages. Again, we're just posting this out online, so shouldn't use the number at all. All right. Okay. So let's talk about the different varieties of squeeze pages, or let's do a grand tour here. So when you open up squeeze pages, you land on the build page. There's also a history tab that's going to take you directly to the past squeeze pages that you've created. KV Core saves a whole history of every link you build, so you can reuse those again and again. You can view the pages, you can copy the link, you can post them out again. While this is really helpful, it doesn't give you all the information. If you're creating a really specific multi-property squeeze page where it should just pull up listings with different, this area, this price point, single family home with this much square feet. It doesn't give you all the details here from a bird's eye glance. As you can see, it tells you the type, so single property or multi-property or a seller squeeze. And it'll tell you the MLS ID, but it doesn't give you all the information. So if you're someone who was really focused on staying super organized, I sometimes like to, maybe copy the squeeze or landing page links that I create and put them in a Google Doc or even, a spreadsheet and kind of label them for myself. If they're ones I'm going to post again and again, I might save those somewhere where they're easy to find and add my own notes as a little reminder to myself. So a lot of these squeeze pages you create, you can repost and reuse again and again. I'll explain how that works as we go along. Now, most of you guys will have 4 different varieties of squeeze pages. You'll be able to make a multi-property squeeze page, which is going to squeeze users back to your website to look at multiple different properties. It's pretty self-explanatory. Single property is just to send users back to look at a single listing on your site. Squeeze page is going to direct them to the sell tab of your website. So that sell tab where homeowners can sign up for a home valuation. So that's what your sell page is, or your seller squeeze page is going to do. And then you've also got market report squeeze pages, which is going to direct them to, so here's the home valuation page. And then if I go back, it's going to send them to an area of your website to sign up for market reports. They can also find that, if they go to your search tab, there's an area at the top above your maps that usually says sign up for a market report. And there's usually, most websites will have a couple different links that'll direct them there. Apologize, my internet's run just a little bit slow today. But those are the 4 main varieties that you'll see. Some of you out there, if you have sold data available from your MLS, might also see sold multi-properties. Now, I highly recommend, creating maybe at least one of each of these different varieties. I usually recommend creating maybe a couple multi-properties if you'd like, but definitely at least one kind of seller squeeze and maybe a couple different market report squeeze pages for different areas that you offer. And the idea here is you choose the area, the city, the county, or zip where they might be interested in seeing, how the real estate market health is doing. And you offer, that online, say, hey, click the link below to be redirected to, or to be signed up to receive reoccurring market report emails. So that is the kind of market report. Again, the home valuation will give them updated home valuations, but today we'll mostly focus probably on single properties and multi-property squeeze pages. Now, single property is probably one of the few links that you might not post again and again, because if I'm just pulling up information for a single listing and directing users to that one listing on my site, I'm only going to want to use that link for as long as that listing is visible, until that listing, is sold and potentially off my site or no longer, visible in the MLS. So single property here, again, that one is one that you'll probably want to do, maybe to announce, your new listings and different stages throughout that listing process. But once it's closed, that's something that we're probably not posting out very much. But what's really cool about the multi-property squeeze pages is as you're building these out, you'll choose your different search criteria, and these are going to regularly update. They're always going to show current listings based on the criteria you select. So let's build one out. So first of all, we're going to choose our location. Again, like a search alert in KV Core, this is going to be what city, what county, or what zip code you're targeting for listings. I'm located in California, so kind of my default here is usually San Diego. So there we go. We'll type in San Diego here. It's going to give a second to load here, and it's probably going to provide me with some options. Do I mean the county of San Diego? Do I mean the city of San Diego? Sometimes might even break it down specifically by neighborhood. Yeah, absolutely. You can use multiple locations too. But for a squeeze page, so let's see, I could do county and city and neighborhood, or I could type in something else there. So I can select multiple. When you're creating a squeeze page, you can select multiple. If you're setting up a search alert, you can select multiple yourself. So absolutely. Word of warning there, we can't do something as broad as entire state. I couldn't put the entire state of California there. And I can't do anything as narrow as a single property in this option. Again, if you want to do a single property, that's a whole different squeeze page. Now, like your website, you can also choose, rather than typing in the location, you could draw on the map using a polygon search. So I could click draw area and then just click the exact area in which I'm looking for. And with these, you can actually draw more than one area. So maybe I'm also looking for listings on the other side of the freeway. I could draw a couple different areas there. But this is an either or option. I either draw on the map or I type in the location. There is a toggle here as well to toggle on geographical areas. So it's going to search by latitude and longitude. That can sometimes be helpful if you're trying to narrow down a school district, for example. All right. Now, this is the bare minimum that we set up. Technically, as long as we've got an area, we could create the squeeze page now. But I usually recommend at least choosing, probably 2 pieces of criteria. Again, think about who you're targeting here. So maybe I'm offering specifically single family homes in the San Diego County. Or maybe I'm offering this for people who are looking for low income homes. So I might also choose, kind of the low end of the price range here. Maybe by selecting options, I want to focus on, just sharing out listings that are fixer-uppers or adult 55 plus. Maybe I just want to create this posting for local open houses or, walkable. Maybe something in my call to action says, hey, interested in, maybe a specific, specific restaurants, nightlife, something that your area has to offer. You are looking for a home within walking distance, maybe that's what your call to action is when you're posting this out. So again, think about who you're trying to target with the information that you select. All right. So you can see lots of different criteria here. There's also style. Are we looking for apartments, colonial, mid-century, modern? A lot of different options here that you can choose from. All right, so after we select all our search criteria on the left-hand side, we're then going to look on the right-hand side of our page under page configuration. Now, technically, you could skip ahead and generate a link without filling this out, but this is always information that I recommend personally taking the time to add in. So first is source. So source for your leads is the source of where you met them or where you captured their, where they came from initially. Now, if I'm posting the same squeeze page on Facebook and Pinterest and LinkedIn and Twitter, I might say something a little bit more general, like the source was social media San Diego squeeze page, something like that. If I'm posting this just to Facebook, maybe I'll put the source was Facebook SD squeeze, and you can get, feel free to type in whatever you like there for the source. And source is helpful, again, for a couple of things. You'll be able to see that with each of your leads in your CRM. And then other valuable piece, if you haven't checked out your business analytics, there is an area in business analytics. There's a tab at the top that says source performance. You can pull up reports based on the last week, last month, last year, different variations, and you can see which lead sources are producing the most leads for you over time. So if you give them things like distinct sources, you can really tell, hey, this squeeze page actually generated a lot of leads, but that landing page did not, or vice versa. So you can really see that for yourself over time, which can be really helpful if you're creating a couple different ones of these and kind of testing them out. It's kind of funny how sometimes, you might post something on social media, at a time that you expect to see a lot of attention, and yet, maybe don't produce a lot of results from it. But sometimes just changing, some very slight verbiage in what it is that you're posting, maybe just changing that call to action ever so slightly can sometimes make a huge impact in the amount of people it attracts. So sometimes a little bit of testing is recommended here or encouraged to produce the best results. So I definitely recommend, creating a couple different ones of these or planning a couple different, calls to action. What is your headline going to be when you post these? And, have a couple variations and see how those work for you over time. All right, so giving them a source, also a hashtag. Now, hashtag can work similarly in source, as source. I can label whatever I like as their hashtag or their label of the lead that's coming in or the contact that I'm attracting here. So again, I tend to make these pretty similar just for me. So I might say something like, again, Facebook, San Diego, squeeze, yep. And I might make take care to spell it right, so that way I can find this again in the future. And I might do something as well, like single family, things like that. Now, oh yeah, and someone said, I know very little about hashtags. How do you figure out what to use? So hashtags, let me back up a step for anyone who's new to kvCORE. For the contacts in your CRM, they're labeled with a couple different things. You've got statuses, which refer to what stage they're at in the home buying or home selling process. Are they currently a new lead? Are they your client? Are they someone you closed a deal with? Those are statuses. Everyone will have a deal type. So what type of deal do you hope to have with that person? Are they a buyer, a seller, a renter? And then hashtags, while statuses and deal types in kvCORE are predetermined for you, we've got set options. You unfortunately can't create your own statuses and deal types in kvCORE. And that's just because we have automation that's meant to follow up with those specific statuses and deal types. So we have, say, smart campaigns in kvCORE that can set up messaging that's meant specifically for, say, a new lead buyer. And those messages would be very different from something you'd say to a new lead seller or to someone you've closed a deal with. So that's why those are predetermined for you. But hashtags in kvCORE can be any phrase of your choosing. So what's going to be helpful to you for organizing your database? What are the categories that you need to search contacts by? And this is going to vary from agent to agent. I can give you a lot of, common case uses, but at the end of the day, the most helpful hashtags are going to be the ones that most relevant to your business. So maybe you work with a lot of first-time home buyers. That would be a great hashtag in some cases. Maybe you want to label the individuals who are for sale by owners. And some of you might not work with for sale by owners, so that hashtag won't help you. Credit repair program. Maybe you want to organize your database by who told you they were searching for homes in 3 to 6 months or a year from now. Maybe you want to hashtag people by a feature they're looking for in a home. So if I made this squeeze page for just individuals looking for fixer-upper homes in San Diego, I might want to give them hashtag fixer-upper. And that way I know when I search my database by hashtag fixer-upper, I'm just pulling up the people who said they were interested in that information. So whatever you like for your hashtag, one thing I'll point out here, if you didn't notice, I made this all one word. There's no spaces in that hashtag. So that's the only catch with your hashtag source. You can put spaces in, no problem. Hashtags should be all one word in kvCORE. And if that really drives you nuts, you can use underscores. So little pro tip with that. If it drives you nuts to make things all one word, use the underscore for your hashtags. Every once in a while I get an agent that says, I don't like that it's all one word there. So hashtags, and I could create multiple. As you can see, I can type in a couple different hashtags that they be tagged with. So I could do these all separately too. Hashtag Facebook, hashtag San Diego, hashtag squeeze page. And I could pull those as separate hashtags if I like. Now, hashtags are also useful not only for organizing your CRM and your database, hashtags are also useful because you can trigger automation to start based on a hashtag. Now, that's something you'd have to decide for yourself. You don't have to worry that if you type in a particular word as a hashtag, that's going to automatically trigger something in kvCORE. That's not how it works. But you could choose that. Oh yeah, and great point as well. Someone asked, does the system keep all the past hashtags used? Absolutely. So any hashtag that you regularly use, you can search by that in the CRM. You can type that in, pull it up. It remembers all of those. If you want to see every hashtag you've ever created in the marketing tab, let's just open this up real quick. And then we'll get back to search alerts. Apologize if it seems I'm getting a little sidetracked, but I want to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions here. But in your marketing tab, if you scroll down to the bottom here, hashtag management. If you've never seen this before, you can come here to view your hashtags. It'll show you every single hashtag you've ever created in kvCORE. And if you're someone like me who forgets what hashtags you've used in the past, in this demo account, we've created so many different ones, it's easy to do. But, I've got add more and add more hashtags. If these are really the same hashtag, I could also come here to merge those into one category if I'd like. So yes, hashtags, very helpful in the system. You can also use them to trigger automation. I'm going to put a pin in that for now. If we have time here towards the end, when we talk about, following up with the leads we generate from these squeeze pages, I'll talk about how those hashtags can trigger automation as well. All right. Now, Facebook cover photo. If I'm posting this squeeze page link to Facebook, I can choose for the primary image that it showcases for this link, what listing it pulls up. Some of you out there, your brokerages might have specific rules about what listings you can promote, what listings you can showcase. If there are rules that you have to show your own, you can choose a photo from a specific listing. So you could select your specific listing, for example. Random listings from your agency, high price listings from your agency, low price listings from your agency, or recent listings. So you got some options here. For demo purposes, I'll leave this blank. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just see what it generates for me. And then if I really, if I really hate the photo there for that primary listing, I might come back and, change it afterwards and just regenerate that link. Okay. Now, property views allowed before registration. 2 is the default, and this is the same as to how your website works. So the idea here is that when a new consumer goes and explores your website, they only have a couple clicks on your site before they are going to be prompted to register, before this registration box pops up and asks them for their email and, cell phone number. You get the idea there. So same thing with these squeeze pages. Again, when you hear the word squeeze page, you want to think of this as squeezing that lead back to your website where they'll then be prompted to register. So it works in the exact same way. Now, you might not always want them immediately be prompted to register. There's different case uses where you might make these squeeze pages and maybe you don't need registration. So you could create these squeeze pages to post on social media for lead generation, but you could also create a squeeze page to re-engage, say, current contacts. Maybe have a whole list of people that you generated a while back from a lead generation tool, and they said they were all looking for listings in San Diego, single family homes in San Diego, a certain price point or something like that. Now, if you've already captured them, if they've already signed up somewhere, you already have their information, you probably don't need to have them register again. So you could say never. And you could just use this link to maybe send out in a mass email and, put those listings back in front of their face again. Hey, I know a while back you were looking for listings in this area. I'm not sure if you found the home you were looking for, but I thought I would share out this handy link to look at some listings in, that match this criteria. And you could, share that out in mass. So there's different, it doesn't have to just be for lead generation. These squeeze pages, I want to remind you, can be used for many different purposes. Now, another case where you might want to select never for registration, maybe you already have, a Facebook ad up and you just want to, do some additional posting. If they're already signing up through your Facebook ad and you want to just draw some more attention, so you're also creating a squeeze page with similar information, you might not want them to sign up a second time. We don't want to deter them, from giving over information because, we're making them jump through hoops here. And yes, absolutely. In the chat, you can share these squeeze pages in a text too. I know what you meant. Don't worry. And then additionally, of course, you can make this immediate as well. So lots of options for registration. A little pro tip with the single property ones, that might be an occasion. If I'm using a single property to capture leads, that might be a situation where I make this registration immediate. Because if that lead clicked on your link because they're only interested in that one listing, after they look at that listing, there's a chance they could click off your site without ever being captured. So if we make this immediate, where it immediately prompts them to register, it makes it much less likely that they're going to, click off before we capture that info. So Most cases, if you're creating a multi-property, I'll leave this at 2. In some cases, I might prompt that where that's immediate. Some cases, I might mark this where it's never required. All right. Then we're going to go and we're going to generate link. So we're going to click this green button here, and it's going to give me a long link, the direct link, and a short link. Now, in 99.9% of cases, you're going to want to use that direct link. It's going to work better with your social media pages. The short link would be appropriate in areas where someone's really just going to see that link. Short link would be okay to put in a text. So someone asked about sharing this in a text. A short link would also be okay on something like Twitter. But for Facebook, 100% make sure you use the direct link. And you can just click the little copy to clipboard button on the right and post it to social media. So I always recommend testing your link before you post them out. So let me open a new tab here, pop that URL in there, and just double check that it produced some results. I can't imagine anything more embarrassing than posting this out on social media and there's no listings, and having a lead go and click on that and say, hey, you said this would take me to San Diego single family homes, but there's nothing listed there. So always a good idea to double check your work, especially if you're, selecting a lot of different listing criteria. If you're really narrowing it down, there might not be a lot of results. So here we go. Lots of listings. As you can see, this will work just fine. All right, now let's go ahead and put that on social media. So let me just pull up an example Facebook page. Now this is just something I use specifically for demos. Ideally, you're going to post your links on, like, say, your Facebook business page or some Facebook business groups. So let me 1 second here, close some things up. There we go. Drag it on over, and let's create a post. Now, I know it's a big, long, ugly link that we're pasting in here, but that's not anything, we don't have to let our users see this. After we post the link, we'll just wait for this photo to populate. And, if it's not a very pretty photo, I might go and adjust it. So that one's okay. If it really, if that wasn't the one I wanted to showcase, that's a situation where I might go back to this Facebook cover photo and change it. Let's grab a high price listing. I just want to regenerate real quick. There we go. Let's switch them out real quick. Just see if we get a prettier picture here. But after that photo populates, what I can do is I can actually remove this text and put in my call to action. So you usually want to keep it something pretty short and sweet. You want to make sure you're, explaining what it is that link will direct them to. And if you can, try to put it in, make it a little catchy. Spend a couple minutes thinking about what your call to action is. I've given examples in the past. Sometimes I'll do something, if you're someone who golfs regularly, maybe your niche audience is, hey, are you interested in golfing, but hate the commute? These houses are on or around golf courses in San Diego. Click below and let me know which homes you thought were all hole in one. So, doesn't have to, be that exact wording, but, try to think of something clever and catchy if you can. Always refer back to, you can always refer back to like ChatGPT if you need some inspiration. But yes, you're going to remove your post, put in your call to action here. I would, in some way in your call to action, advise them that they should click on the photo to be sent to those listings. I might also put somewhere in that call to action a recommendation or some sort of encouragement to get them to comment below. We want comments, comments and, increase the likelihood that other people are going to see this posting. It's going to, help increase the popularity, the exposure there. So whenever possible, we want to encourage people to like, to comment, and of course, to be redirected to our websites, right? So feel free to mention below, hey, comment, let me know, if you're interested in more information, comment me for my contact info, comment me, which property you thought was most impressive, or whatever the case may be. Some way encourage, a response there. And you can post it out. And then I mentioned, again, not only posting it on your social media pages, but maybe looking at some groups and posting it there as well. Maybe I'm part of some San Diego resale groups. Maybe if I'm, targeting a niche audience again, if I love golfing and I'm creating a squeeze page that's for homes on or around golf courses, or houses on or around horse trails, some sort of outdoor venue near nightlife, very walkable. I might look at some groups that have similar interests and maybe see if I can post there. Of course, do be aware, check if there's any rules around posting in those groups. Some groups may allow you to post and link people to your website, but might have rules against requiring sign up, in which case you'll just set that registration to never when you're building these out. So consider posting these out. And again, I'd create a couple different variations of your links, maybe a couple multi-properties, couple, if you have a listing or two, single property, or definitely a single property every time you got a new listing available, why not? Maybe a seller squeeze, maybe a market report squeeze page, and, keep your own notes if you want to in your own doc, or you can revert back to your history here. And keep in mind, posting a squeeze page one time to one social media page is not going to produce all the leads that you need to run your business. These work most effectively when you make a regular habit of posting to social media. So maybe for right now to start, maybe you just have the bandwidth, the time to post these out 3 days a week. That's okay. Again, this doesn't have to take very long. I could copy this link if this is the link I was using, go to social media, pop that in, put my call to action in, and post it. And, if you want to, kind of think of this ahead of time, maybe write out your call to action, your plan ahead of time, if that helps you. So that way you can do this quick. Doesn't have to take all day. But you want to make a regular habit of posting. I honestly think, it's worthwhile to create a couple squeeze pages and a couple landing pages, give a different visual appearance there. And then additionally, if you revert back to that guide I shared out, here's a couple pro tips. So landing pages will be more appropriate if that listing is coming soon or just sold. Because in those cases, a squeeze page is going to revert them to your website. If that property is coming soon or just sold, unless you manually enter that listing, it's not going to show up on your site. So something like a landing page, you can still advertise the listing without sending someone to that listing on your site. You can still talk about the listing. Squeeze page, for that single property option, these is a great time to create a single property squeeze page and share it out would be when the listing is just listed. When there's an open house, draw some attention for your open house. And if it goes through a price reduction, all good opportunities to post that single property squeeze page to your website. And then multi-property squeeze versus single property squeeze. Now, multi-property in some cases might be appropriate more so for your current contacts, past leads, sphere of influence, again, for re-engagement, things like that. Hey, I remember a while ago you were looking for homes in this area. Did you ever find the home you were looking for? I just thought I'd share this out. Single properties, in some cases, might be more popular for those new leads. If they just really like this one particular home, that might attract them in. In some cases, a multi-property for some individuals might give too much variety. There might be too many options there. It can see sometimes overwhelming. So I like a combination. I know it might in your head think it makes sense. Hey, the more listings I share out, the more attention, right? But sometimes those single listing posts may attract more new leads because they just are interested in that one specific listing you've just shared out. So definitely recommend creating a variation and having a little bit of variety in your posting schedule. All right, and really quickly, oh, we're running short on time here. I want to pause here. So folks, I'm open to other questions about anything in KV Core, squeeze page or otherwise. Otherwise, what we can do with our time remaining is we can talk about, squeeze pages with other KV Core tools. We can talk about following up with those squeeze page leads, or I could also quickly demonstrate, probably a single property squeeze page. How are we feeling? Any opinions? Feel free to pop those in the chat or Q&A. I know this is supposed to be open Q&A. We were able to answer a couple questions about things like the smart number and text codes, but if there's something that was, just burning a hole in your pocket that hasn't been answered, don't be shy. Feel free to pop that in the chat or Q&A. All right. While we're waiting, let's quickly talk about single property and quickly talk about follow-up. Let's see if we can squeeze in. I'm a habit I tend to use every last minute in these hours. I just so much information I want to share out with you guys. So if there's something specific you're looking for, call it out. But single property, pretty easy. You're going to enter your listing address or the listing ID. So if it was, say, this listing here that I was sharing out from my website, I can just go ahead and grab the address there or that MLS ID to make that listing post just about this particular listing. Let me go ahead and copy that listing ID from my website and then just enter that in here and it would pull it up. And then same thing from there on. You choose the source, you choose the hashtag, how many views before they're allowed to register. Again, if it's a single property, I might make that immediate and then you generate the link. So the rest of these hopefully are pretty self-explanatory. There's usually, just one or two pieces of information you're popping in there. Worked pretty much the same way. Someone mentioned in the chat, are there training sessions about how to optimize a web page? Oh yeah, absolutely. We do a lot about websites. I frequently will talk about website updates for holidays. We got a lot of that on our YouTube channel. If there's something specific that you're looking for about websites, I would check the Inside Real Estate YouTube channel if videos are how you like to learn your platform. And I would just go ahead and click on that little magnifying glass. There are so many videos on websites. If you prefer a live webinar, I don't know when our next success meetup about websites will be, but I can definitely add that into the rotation. I always think websites are a fun one to talk about. We've got a couple of these about custom pages and categories. I would say if you're very new to KV Core and you're just starting out with the website, if you have not already taken our Agent Quick Start course, the section 3 of our Agent Quick Start course will talk about your websites and listings in KV Core. So let me just show you what I'm talking about here. So section 3 is about getting familiar with your websites and listings. And then we also have an interactive webinar that's held on Wednesdays about websites and listings. Does talk a little bit about website editing in that webinar. This is more so talking about how leads are captured through your website and kind of what their experience is like. So still really good information if you're new to KV Core. But again, depends on kind of what you're looking for here. So this is a great one as well. You can join the interactive webinar by following along with the course. There'll be a link in there, or you can also find it through our training calendar. Again, the website one is on Wednesdays. So Quick Start Part 3 held at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you operate in a different time zone, make sure you're choosing the correct option here, but that's a good one too. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and pop this link in the chat and then we'll wrap it up here today, folks. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I'm going to share out one final time. If you missed my guide, all the links but what I talked about are added here and a few more that we didn't get to. Additionally, if you want to catch this recording later, give me a couple hours for this to render through Zoom and I'll come back and update this. So here is the guide one final time in the chats, and I'll make sure to add today's recording link there if you need it. All right, folks, thanks so much for your time, your attention, your excellent questions. Pat on the back to everybody who chimed in the chat. I really love it when you guys participate. Let me know what it is that you're looking for. Definitely helps me make sure that I'm trying to steer my information to what's most useful to our users. So thanks for that. All right, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day. Go create a squeeze page. Go sell a house. Take care, everyone.